Episode number 1. I hope you're tuned in and you're listening to me because I'm going to give you some really, really good guidance. Free advice. How do you access it? Where do you get it from? Now, what happens if you receive a very unpleasant letter on a Friday evening, which is usually when they are received, because lawyers, unfortunately, have a tendency of sending another party a letter always on a Friday evening to disrupt the weekend peace of the other person. What do you do? What can you do? Now, the first thing you can probably do on a Friday evening is go on the internet, because the internet has so much information nowadays. And we are actually very lucky because we never used to have this information. Who could just access all this legal advice at the drop of a hat? Just bear in mind the area of law you're looking for, that you are actually reading the correct law of the country that applies to you. So, for example, if you are dealing with a boundary dispute in the UK, make sure you are looking at boundary law in the UK and not boundary law disputes which are in America or in another part of the world, because they are not going to be applicable. Just be very, very careful how you scout and search for that information. What can you do to prepare yourself for Monday morning? So what I suggest you do is look up the Citizens Advice Bureau, the Trading Standards Department, the law centres which advise you freely. Now, the only downside I will say is you must be very careful, because even though these law centres are called free advice centres, they sometimes do not actually give you advice. They give you guidance. The point is that at the end of the day, you have to choose what is right for you. And you can't hold them accountable or responsible for the advice. I've had people in the past who I've advised who have come to me at the back end of having had what they thought was advice from, let's say, one of these organizations. And unfortunately, even though they've tried to, in their court case, rely on the fact they were advised, they actually were not advised, because some of the people who give that guidance are not actually qualified people themselves, as in solicitors, barristers, or from the legal profession. But it is always a starting point. One of the starting points, for example, in employment issues is always the unions. The unions can give you some really, really good advice. Sometimes you may not be content with that advice, and that's when you may need to look further afield to find legal advice. But always exhaust your free avenues of advice, because do not spend money on anything until you really need to. You may be told by the people you've gone to that they can only give you what they're giving you now, and you have to now go and get formal legal advice. And what do you do if you have to do that? How do you do that? Where do you look? Keep tuned for the next episode.